Carteret County 911, what's the address of your emergency?
We lost our friend. We don't know where he has gone. We're kind of worried that something happened to him.
Now, how long has he been missing?
Since we woke up.
Where's the last spot you saw him at?
We all went to bed last night, and when we woke up, he was not here, and we've been looking for him all day.
It's Saturday evening, May 23rd, 2020. The emergency services in Carteret County get a call from a remote sandy speck of land off the coast of North Carolina, South Core Banks. The call is from a group of soldiers stationed at Fort Bragg who had decided to spend their Memorial Day weekend camping on the island. But now, one of them, Enrique Roman-Martinez, is missing. The hours turn to days, and no trace of him is found until, 6 days later, his severed head is discovered washed up on the shore. This is the chilling case of Enrique Roman-Martinez, brutally murdered, with the truth still hidden. Why? And who's responsible? Like, subscribe, and share to help uncover the mystery and bring justice to Enrique. Enrique was just 21 years old, stationed at Fort Bragg, one of over 50,000 soldiers based there. He'd been a paratrooper for almost 4 years, but in a few short months, he was set to leave the Army and return home. The youngest of 3, he had a tight-knit family back in Chino, California, and above all, he looked forward to reuniting with them, especially his older sister, Griselda.
We were very close. We always hung out together. I was definitely the nagging older sister, and I always made sure to take care of him. I mean, he didn't always like it, but it's what it was. My brother had a heart of gold. He wasn't an angry or violent person. He wasn't aggressive. He would take his shirt off his back for his friends, and he was incredibly generous, incredibly noble to a fault, and just whenever he did any kind of work, he always wanted to give his 110%. Whatever he needed to do to complete the task, he would do it. He was definitely a rule follower, for sure.
Right after high school, Enrique enlisted in the military. It wasn't just about serving his country, it was about securing a better future for his family, too. The Army offered him opportunities for education and financial stability, something he hoped would benefit everyone back home.
The biggest reason why my brother went to the Army was for an opportunity to have a stable paycheck, to be able to send money back home, and to be able to go to college. And he thought it would be cool to jump out of planes for a living, and he enjoyed it. And me and my mother, we didn't want him to go. We were adamant about not wanting him to go. His type of character, who he was too kind. He was too nice. And we were really worried about him getting killed.
Enrique dreamed of serving overseas and quickly excelled during his grueling paratrooper training with the 82nd Airborne's Fighting Falcons Brigade. But after 3 years of jumping out of planes, a painful condition started to set in. He developed compartment syndrome, a condition that some paratroopers face when repeated jumps cause their leg muscles to swell and cut off blood flow. After struggling with this, Enrique knew it was time for a change. Though he had signed up for 4 years, the Army decided to discharge him 3 months early due to his injury. His plan was simple: go back home to Chino and go to college, aiming for a degree in pharmacology.
He really couldn't run anymore. He couldn't walk long distances. He just couldn't do the physical part of his job, so they were discharging him.
It's Wednesday, May 20th, 2020, just 2 days before Memorial Day. Enrique calls his sister, Griselda. She can hear the excitement in his voice. Just a few more months and he'd be back home for good. The siblings chat about the plans he has for when he returns.
My brother was so excited because my brother had 3 months left to be in the army. And our conversation was, hey, you're gonna move in with me. Don't worry about getting a job right away. We'll figure out schooling as soon as you get here. That was the last time I spoke to him.
During the call, Enrique tells Griselda he's planning to stay on base for the weekend. He figures he'll either work security at the Memorial Day parade or just chill in his room playing video games. But, as it often happens, things change. The next morning, Enrique tells Griselda he's decided to join some of the other soldiers on a camping trip instead.
My brother wasn't originally going to go on this trip. He only went because last minute someone decided not to go, and they had asked him to go so that they would be able to afford the trip. So they could afford to take their cars over with the ferry. So my brother ended up agreeing to go because my brother was very generous and willing to help anyone.
It's May 22nd, 2020. Memorial Day weekend is here, but the world is still reeling from the grip of the COVID-19 pandemic. The soldiers are supposed to stay near the base due to quarantine restrictions, but Enrique and his buddies make a decision. They hit the road, driving over 4 hours to the Cape Lookout National Seashore. Once there, they catch a ferry, the only way to reach the island, and set up camp. But by Saturday evening, just a day later, something terribly wrong goes. At 7 p.m., one of the paratroopers, Alex Becerra, calls 911. Enrique is missing.
We lost our friend. We don't know where he has gone. And we're kind of worried that something happened to him.
The very next day, Sunday, May 24th, Griselda gets the call she's been dreading. It's Enrique's commanding officer on the other end of the line.
So I answer, and it's my brother's captain, asking me if my brother was with us. And I said, no, we're in California. He's in North Carolina. Why would he be with us? And they said, well, okay, well, the problem is your brother is missing. And I'm like, what do you mean he's missing? Missing where? And the captain said he went on a camping trip and he went missing. And he pretty much told me that maybe he ran away because he has 3 months and couldn't wait and wanted to leave. And I said, why would he do that? That's crazy. That doesn't sound like my brother. And I asked, have you tried calling his phone? And then that's when the captain told me, well, he doesn't have his phone with him. I'm like, that's not my brother either. He would never leave his phone.
The captain tells Griselda something that sends a chill down her spine. Enrique's wallet and glasses have been found in his tent. He didn't take them with him. What could that mean?
That's when I was like, oh, something bad happened. My brother cannot see without his glasses. When I say he is blind, that kid was blind. And I knew there was something really, really wrong there.
Griselda and her mother, Maria, waste no time. They book the first flight out of California and head straight to North Carolina. Once there, Army investigators inform them that park rangers and local search teams have been scouring the island for days, but they still haven't found any trace of Enrique.
I know they searched the island, and of course they know the island better than anyone. And they didn't find anything. They searched the whole island. Afterwards, the Army sent a group of 50 volunteer soldiers that went to go look for my brother, and they couldn't find anything. So one of the things the investigators asked us if my brother wanted to ever kill himself. And I said, no, never, never. He would never do something like that. He was too much of a coward and he could never do that to my mother. I just knew this was something my brother wouldn't have done.
Determined to understand what happened, Griselda and Maria make the journey to the island themselves. They leave the Army base, drive to the coast, and take the ferry to meet with the park rangers, hoping to uncover some answers.
I was hoping that by some miracle I would be able to find my brother. I got to the island and I was so broken, so torn, so devastated once I saw the island. The island is so small. You can see from one side of the island to the other. It was mostly just marsh, mostly just a little bit of grass, mostly sand. And there was really nowhere to go. So me and my mom were devastated.
The park rangers offer a theory. Maybe after a night of drinking, Enrique went for a swim in the rough waters and was pulled out to sea by the strong currents. It's a possibility, but it doesn't feel right.
We had questions for the park ranger, and I had asked in her experience, something had happened to my brother from the point that they were at in the island. Where would he be washed up if he did drown? And she said, well, most drowned bodies end up on Shackleford Banks.
Just a short distance away, about a mile north of where the soldiers were camping, lies Shackleford Banks. It's an island where the ocean's currents often wash up debris. Maybe, just maybe, Enrique's body had been carried there.
So that's really what we were all thinking, is maybe that was a possibility.
Back at Fort Bragg, Griselda and Maria are desperate for answers. They press the Army investigators for any new information about Enrique's disappearance. But the authorities remain silent, unwilling to even reveal the names of the soldiers who were with him on that camping trip.
I desperately wanted to talk to these people. I wanted to know, what was the last thing my brother said? What were they talking about? What happened? Maybe, I feel like I know my brother way better than anyone else. And maybe I would have known what was going on. Maybe I could have told them, like, hey, maybe he went here or there, and they would not allow me to talk to these people.
Days drag on, and there's still no sign of Enrique. Then, on Friday, May 29th, a Park Services employee spots something floating in the water. It's not just any piece of debris, it's a severed head. The head of Enrique Roman-Martinez.
Just like the park ranger said, my brother's head washed up on Shackleford Banks. If we could have had a full body, maybe it wouldn't be so hard. But we only had my brother's head. When my brother's remains washed up, the theory that the investigators had was that he drowned and his body had gone through a boat propeller. And that's why his head was sliced off.
The autopsy reveals a horrifying truth. Enrique's vertebrae are covered in deep cuts, likely made by a sharp weapon, possibly an axe or hatchet. These marks don't fit with the idea of a propeller strike from a boat. The medical examiner also finds that Enrique's jaw was broken from blunt force trauma, and his skull had a small fracture. These injuries scream foul play. This wasn't an accident. It wasn't suicide. This was a murder.
It hurt my heart more than anything that anyone would have such hate for my brother to do that to him. He didn't deserve that.
When Enrique's partial remains are discovered, the case quickly shifts from a missing persons report to a full-blown homicide investigation. The Martinez family, now dealing with the unimaginable, starts searching for a lawyer to help them navigate the complex and often confusing Army justice system. They find attorney Dustin Collier, who works with the League of United Latin American Citizens, or LULAC, and he begins helping the family uncover the truth about Enrique's tragic death.
One of the things that sort of sticks in my craw is that the Army seems to have this default approach of when a soldier goes missing, we assume it's an AWOL situation, away without leave, until proven otherwise. That appears to be what happened here. They get the report that Enrique is missing, and they treat it as a missing persons case, which is to say that they don't take any of the steps you might take in a potential homicide investigation. They don't secure the barracks for Enrique or any of the other soldiers involved.
Dustin knows all too well that something feels off with the investigation. He's particularly disturbed by the fact that the Army's Criminal Investigative Division, or CID, didn't even secure Enrique's room until 6 days after his head was found. That's a lot of time to let things slip through the cracks, and that's exactly what they fear might have happened.
This is significant because we know that Enrique kept a personal journal, a diary, and that diary may well have shed some light on Enrique's final days and who might have had a motive to kill him. And that journal has never been recovered. It's missing.
Once Enrique's severed head is found, the Army decides to re-interview the soldiers who were with him on the camping trip. But as it turns out, they've been hiding the truth. It's revealed that contrary to what they originally said, there were not 6, but 7 paratroopers on that island that night. A young woman, Anna Marie Kochel, who was Alex Becerra's girlfriend, had been with them. But none of the soldiers had mentioned her before.
When they come back and are interviewed the following evening, Sunday evening, every single one of them signs a statement that makes no mention of Kochel. They all omit her presence. As far as the reason, why would they leave her out? Kochel was underage, and they didn't want her to get in trouble for underage drinking. I don't have an opinion on the credibility of that particular explanation. I certainly can't imagine lying to a homicide investigator because I'm concerned that my girlfriend's going to get in trouble for drinking.
It doesn't stop there. Army investigators also learned that the group had taken LSD the night Enrique disappeared. The soldiers suggest that maybe it was just a bad trip that spiraled out of control, leading to an accidental death. But Enrique's family doesn't buy it. They can't shake the feeling that something far darker happened that night.
Essentially, the story that they tried to sell to me early on is, these guys went out there, they took some LSD, they got too high and they lost control, and who knows what happened after that. I don't know if anybody ever could take LSD and now suddenly they want to kill people. It's just not really how it works. I don't buy that.
The Martinez family begins to fear that the Army investigators aren't fully committed to solving this case, that they may be trying to cover something up. They worry that the investigation is being intentionally downplayed and the truth is being buried.
I can't know for sure what the Army's motivations are. What I do know is that they have some logical and clear incentives to not get to the bottom of cases like this. You've got a system where the Army needs to constantly recruit. They presumably don't want there to be a lot of press coverage of their soldiers being killed after they've signed up, because it'll hinder those recruitment efforts. And I think they're acutely aware of that.
With the help of outside investigators, the Martinez family gets their hands on the 911 call made that afternoon Enrique went missing, more than 10 hours after he was last seen. As they listen to it, they quickly spot glaring discrepancies in the story told by Enrique's fellow paratroopers. It feels like they're hiding something.
He said brown eyes, and what's his name?
His name is Enrique Martinez.
Oh, okay, and you know, kind of...
Sorry, it's actually, let me just fact check. It's actually Enrique Roman, I'm sorry.
Now, how long has he been missing?
Since we woke up, I woke up at 8:30, and we've been looking for him all day. We were trying to find the park ranger or their offices or anything until we went all the way to the ferry, and we found that we needed to dial 911. We weren't sure if that's what we had to do out here.
And when was the last time you saw him?
So we all went to bed at 12:03. That's when we all decided to go to bed, and that is the last time we saw him.
Okay, and does he have any physical, medical, or mental conditions that we need to be aware of?
He wasn't diagnosed, but he did have suicidal tendencies.
I listened to it and I was just shocked that whoever was making this 911 call didn't know my brother's full name, claimed he was his friend, and said that my brother wanted to kill himself. It just really, really infuriated me, because I know for a fact that it's not true. It's not true at all whatsoever. If you were really worried about your friend killing yourself, why would you let him leave? Why would you leave him out of your sight? Why wouldn't you get him help right away?
The last time they saw him was at 12:03 a.m. that evening, that Friday evening. And that stood out to me as unusually precise. Who logged the precise minute that everybody went to sleep? And then they said to the dispatcher that they had been looking for a park ranger to report him to instead. That was their excuse for not calling 911 until that evening. I mean, just on its face, that doesn't sound very credible, because why are these mutually exclusive? Why wouldn't you do both? Look for a park ranger and call 911 and ask them where the nearest park ranger station is. So just on its face, it doesn't sound very credible.
There's another glaring inconsistency in the 911 call made at 7 p.m. Alex Becerra claims that he and the others had spent the entire day looking for a park ranger to report Enrique missing. But just hours earlier, at around 2 p.m., 2 park rangers had actually stopped by their campsite, asking them to move their illegally parked cars. If they knew Enrique was missing, why didn't they tell the rangers then?
In my mind, the biggest red flag around all of this is somewhere that evening, 6, 7 p.m. that evening, they finally call 911 to report Enrique missing. And coincidentally, or perhaps not coincidentally, by the time they reported him missing, the last ferry for the day had left. So that left them on the island for another evening, which raises the question, was that a deliberate strategy on their part to give themselves another day? Which begs the question what they spent the entire 24-hour period doing.
Could it be that the 7 soldiers conspired to cover up Enrique's death? What could possibly motivate them to murder one of their own? The questions keep mounting, and every answer seems to raise more suspicion.
So at one point, the Army was suggesting that perhaps this was some sort of revenge, some sort of drug deal gone awry, or some sort of drug-related hit. There's clearly some sort of broader drug problem at the base, but there's no evidence to tie that back to Enrique. It's this coincidence that makes a convenient way to explain away and sort of downplay and ignore what happened to Enrique.
A disturbing detail emerges. There had been tension between Enrique and Alex Becerra. 5 months before the camping trip, Enrique and his friends had gone to a party off base. Enrique, who was supposed to be the designated driver, had gotten drunk. Becerra, also intoxicated, ended up driving the group home, but he was pulled over and arrested for DUI. Was there bitterness between them that may have played a role in what happened?
From what I heard, there's been a lot of animosity from this guy towards my brother. But here's the thing. I know my brother tried to make this up to this guy several times. My brother went and vouched for him and said, hey, I was supposed to be designated driver. It's not fair that he's getting in trouble. And they both split punishment. My brother and this guy had to take substance abuse classes. But for someone to hate my brother like that, it's really hard to believe. It had to be more than that. And there has to be more to the story than that.
The Army, with the FBI's assistance, forms a task force and offers a $25,000 reward for any information. Meanwhile, Enrique's family is left in heartbreak, still mourning the loss of their son and brother, and desperately waiting for the truth to emerge.
We had his funeral. It was very, very difficult. I've never had to plan a funeral in my life. And it was only my brother's head. None of us saw my brother's remains. But there he was in a casket. It was difficult. It was really hard.
6 months after Enrique's disappearance, the Army finally sends a dive team to search the waters around Cape Lookout Island for the rest of his body. But after such a long delay, it's no surprise they find nothing. Why the holdup? In November 2021, the case is officially labeled a cold case, and the 7 paratroopers are no longer considered suspects. The answers seem farther away than ever.
That is a real head-scratcher. They were clearly with the victim at the time he went missing, and they have no alibi and has lied to criminal investigators. It's amazing.
From what the lead investigator has told me, he believes that these people couldn't have done it. They have no reason to. That it couldn't have possibly been them. And they don't know what happened. They don't know. They don't have a theory, but they know it's not them. Not the 7 individuals.
While charges have been filed against the soldiers for things like violating COVID protocols, using LSD, and making false statements, none of those charges are related to Enrique's death.
All of them were charged with disobeying an order because at the time that they went on this trip, the COVID pandemic had just begun, and there was an order requiring everyone to stay within 50 miles of the base. So all of them, including Enrique, violated that order. Others were charged with using LSD, and then many of them were charged with either making false statements to the investigators and or conspiring to make false statements to the investigators. None of the offenses they were charged with related to the death of Enrique.
The murder remains unsolved, and the justice the Martinez family seeks continues to slip further out of reach. The road to justice for Enrique has been a painful one, full of obstacles and empty promises. At the end of the day, Griselda feels like the Army has made it clear that this isn't a priority for them. Despite the assurances they've given, she still hasn't received answers from the 7 soldiers who were there that night. Every day, it's a battle of frustration, confusion, and deep sorrow. She just wants justice.
The road to justice has been a very slow and rocky one. And I feel alone at the end of the day that the Army, it doesn't seem like it's a priority for them. They tell me it is, but I still don't have answers from my brother. From 7 people that were there. It's frustrating, it's depressing, and it's confusing. It's so hard to just, want to just...
I don't think the Army is ever going to solve Enrique's homicide. If this case gets solved, it will be because of the efforts of his family, and I think we should be ashamed as a nation of how little we have given back to the soldiers who give us so much. These men and women who go into service in the military have made this tremendous sacrifice. They have agreed to put their life on the line, if need be, in a combat operation to protect us, to protect our democracy, to protect our freedom and our rights. The least we can do is protect them when they're here on our shores, on our base, under our care and supervision. And we're not doing that. We're failing them.
It has been truly devastating. It has truly been the biggest heartache. My mom, this was her baby. This was my mom's baby. This was her little boy. And I could never take away my mother's pain. And she has it every single day. And the way my brother went, the way they killed him, so much hate towards him. It makes it worse because we don't have answers. And every day, we just want answers. We just want justice. My brother didn't deserve to die like this.